Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Wasmatic, and it's been a while. It's been a month, actually, nearly a month since my last video, which was at the launch of Battleborn. I have been away. I've been away because my wife and I have been selling houses and trying to move house. We're in the process of selling this, our current home, and also my wife's other house, and we're moving into a new home, hopefully, which has a much bigger studio for me, so I can start to show you some more of my HTC Vive gaming. So in the interim, I have been playing with my Vive and my VR setup, but I've also been playing Battleborn and Overwatch. Dun, dun, dun. So I thought I would start with a little video looking at giving an overview of Overwatch. What's the game? How do you play it? What's the core basics of it? I'm going to do the same with Battleborn, but actually Overwatch is the easier one to start with because, in all honesty, in terms of character and leveling, there's really not a lot in it. So, what is Overwatch as a game? Overwatch is, if you've ever played Team Fortress or Team Fortress 2, Overwatch is effectively almost a modern version of that, and I've heard that comparison made on other YouTube videos as well. Overwatch it's kind of like a MOBA, but it's actually more of a Twitch game. It's actually more of an FPS game with multiple heroes. There are 21 heroes in total from which you can choose to play, and those heroes will give you a massive wide variety of skills and abilities. The game focuses on 3 primary game modes. So when you go into play and you choose quick play, it will load you into one of 3 game types. So you'll have one game type, which is there is one objective in the middle of the map, and both teams rush to that objective, and you have to capture it and hold it for the duration of the game and get to 100% of time held. The second game mode is one where you move through a map by, again, moving to an objective, capturing that objective, but then moving to another objective further on through the map and capturing that objective until you get to the last objective on the map. In that scenario, obviously one team plays as defence and one team plays as offence, and there's an important distinction to be made when you're playing games like that, because your character selection and your hero selection can dramatically sway the outcome of the game. So that's the second game mode. The third game mode is it's a payload game mode. How do I describe this one? So it's very similar to the second game mode, where you run to an objective, you capture that objective, but once you capture that objective, you then are a vehicle is released from a garage, or is spawned, and that vehicle, when you walk next to it, will move slowly through the map. Now, as an offensive team, you have to move that payload right the way through the map to the end of the map. And if you can do that within the allotted time, then you win. The defending team have to stop you capturing the point in the first place, and sometimes they can do that and win the game. But if you get to the payload, then you move through the map, and the defending team have to stop you as best as they can, well, before the time runs out. So in essence, those are the 3 game modes at the moment. You do have these different changing mystery brawls, weekly brawls, which are quite good. Sometimes you're restricted to the characters you play. Last week's was Genji and Hanzo, the 2 Japanese characters, one with throwing stars, one with swords, and this week it's mystery heroes, so you just get randomly allocated a hero. I actually found that game mode really good. So in essence, that's the game, very much like Team Fortress 2. It's the hero selection and the team structure that I really wanted to talk about, because in the game you have 21 heroes from which you can choose, and there is an equal amount of offensive heroes, defensive heroes, tanks, which should be familiar to everyone, and healers. Now, the one thing that absolutely makes my blood boil is when you load into a game and you see 4 snipers or 3 snipers, and nobody cares about actually the team structure. People just want to play what they want to play. Now, I get that. You know, you love playing a sniper, you want to play a sniper, and everyone wants to be snipers, it appears. Everyone wants to play Hanzo or Widowmaker, or everyone wants to be a ranged DPS like McCree or Reaper. Point is, when you are in the team selection, look at what your teammates are picking. If there is no tank but there is a healer, then pick the tank. Give yourself the fair chance of winning the game. If there's a tank but no healer, then pick the healer. Every game should, in theory, have a tank and a healer, and then a mix of 3 different types of DPS. And that DPS can have crowd control abilities. Now I'm going to do a series of videos where I look at each character in depth. Again, it won't be very long because there's not a great deal to them. Each character, so if I give you Bastion as an example, the vast majority of characters will have an ultimate, which on the PC you press Q to activate, and that is something that you charge up. So that charges as you do damage or time passes in the game. You then have your 2 main abilities, which are on the PC by pressing E or pressing left shift, and depending on what your character is, you will have a different ability. So on Bastion, for example, who's like a defensive turret, you press E, it will heal yourself up or self-repair. You press left shift and it will alternate you between a recon mobile configuration of the robot, the sentry, or a fixed position sentry where you have a minigun which does an insane amount of damage but is not very mobile. I wonder if we can see that here. There we go. So that's switching into defensive mode. There you go. So every character is unique. The point of the game is that the team structure is absolutely vital. If you don't get your team structure right, then you're on a failing streak straight away. You'll probably lose the game. You can swap characters and classes, heroes as they're called. You can swap your heroes throughout the game, so if you find that one team structure isn't working, you can change to a different configuration. On the games where you are either on an offensive team or a defensive team, which is 2 of the 3 primary game modes, then as a defensive team, you probably want more fixed positions, more turrets, and a tank. So characters like Bastion, for example, who does a lot of damage from a fixed position, or Torbjorn, who builds turrets. Like the engineer in TF2, he can build turrets, and then his ultimate will increase the weapon attack speed, but also increase the attack speed of his turret and armour and health and whatnot. So that's it in a nutshell. The character levels themselves. So there you can see I'm level 34 in the top right hand corner, and I've seen people up to level 95. I'm guessing it caps at 100, but I don't know for sure. Where you compare this to Battleborn, your character levels give you unlocks, and sometimes that's loot or loadout unlocks, loadout slots, or equipment slots. In Overwatch, it's far more simplistic. Every time you level, you simply unlock either a profile picture or a loot box. And you can see here that I have 2 loot boxes which are unopened, and I've done that deliberately because I wanted to show you what the loot boxes are. There is no other necessity for character builds. There is no equipment, there are no unique items that you can apply to your character in the game. Every character is on a level playing field. They all have the same, their only skills. Now, some characters are better against other characters. You have a slow moving character or a character in a fixed position like Bastion. You can play a character like Tracer, for example. Where's Tracer? Where are you, Tracer? There you go. Now, Tracer has the ability to blink. And with Bastion, or maybe a turret, it's easy to blink around characters and fire at them, then blink again and move. So moving quickly around a slow moving character or a tank can often help. So as I was saying, you level up. When you level up, you unlock these loot boxes. The loot boxes purely give you customization for look of your character, for the voice of your character, and you can spray logos onto the walls in the game as well. The game is a level playing field because you cannot enhance your character in any way through the application of items, unlike Battleborn, where you can actually design a build for your character. And Battleborn is much more like a MOBA style game, whereas Overwatch kind of has some of the MOBA type approaches, like running through a lane to get to the end of the game. Actually, it's more like a Team Fortress style game. So it's not quite a MOBA. Battleborn is more like a MOBA, and you can enhance your characters. So the loot boxes, if you don't know, and this is one of my slight bugbears, the loot boxes are RNG, random number generation. So if I open a loot box now, I don't know what I'm going to get. Oh, and I happen to have got a legendary by the looks of it. And as you can see, I've got an emote there, so you can do an emote in the game. Let's see what that is. Yeah, that's awesome, thanks. And I have a new voice for Genji. I've already got that one. And then a new skin for Mercy, I play quite a lot. I'm going to equip that. And then a victory pose for Soldier 76. So when you open the loot boxes, you don't know what you're going to get, but there is absolutely nothing which will enhance your character. So in a nutshell, that's it. What do I like about the game? It's hugely addictive. The game is hugely addictive. Once you load in, it's really exciting. It's very fast paced. It can be chaotic. If you have a decent team structure and you have a good, really hard fight against the opposite team, it can be great. Unfortunately, and I have to say this, whilst Blizzard have gone out of their way to try and close down some of the hacks that are appearing in the game, they are there, and unfortunately they are there more than I think Blizzard would care to admit. Now, it's great that they are so focused on banning people who do hack, but unfortunately I think the temptation for a lot of players, and especially now some of this is questionable. So even if I'm wrong 50% of the time, there's still quite a large number of people who seem to be using wall hacks. Now, there are characters who can see through walls. So Widow can reveal the location of every character in the map through her ultimate. Hanzo can, in a very localized way, show where characters are if they're behind walls. But the kill cam never lies. So if the kill cam shows somebody tracking you through a wall and neither of those abilities are on, then you know they're hacking, and that's the one you really want to watch for. So it's really unfortunate. You do see it more than likely. As ever with online games, you get a lot of people who rage. You get a lot of people who are quite insulting and like to hide behind their keyboards. I'm a huge advocate of being polite to anyone, no matter what they're, whether you've won or whether they've owned you in the game. You don't have to rage, or whether you've lost. You don't have to rage. But it's the goading of people that I don't like, and very often people will offer insults in the game which if they were standing face to face with you they would not dare. So hiding behind their monitors. So that's the downside to it. The other downside to it, unfortunately, and this is just my opinion, is the ultimates. I'm not going to talk about class balance because I think the classes are unbalanced depending on who you're playing and who you're playing against in a 1v1 scenario, and I think that's designed in. But you have some ultimates which absolutely can completely turn the tide of a game with one press of a button. So if I think of examples, Hanzo for example, he can it's an insta-kill ultimate. If he fires his arrow, his ultimate ability in a straight line, he'll clear a lane. Anything that gets in the way will be cleared, including the tanks. I personally don't think that should be the case. I think if you're looking at low health characters, then fine, but certainly tanks, no, I don't agree with. And then maybe Reaper as well. If you're playing a game where there's an objective and it's in a room, Reaper can teleport in, use his ultimate, and it will literally clear the room. Compared to other characters, so like Lucio, who is a healer, who I play a lot, his ability gives shields. That's great, that's really good, but when you compare giving shields to your whole team to an ability to kill every single member on the opposite team if you play it right, it doesn't seem quite right. And the unfortunate thing for me is that those ultimates, while yes, I agree ultimates should be powerful skills, unfortunately, I think some of the characters' ultimates are too much and will win a game. But there you go. Maybe that's just my opinion. If it's designed in that way, it's designed in that way. So there you go. That's Overwatch in a nutshell. It is very, very simple. You level up. Your level ups give you character enhancements in terms of look and feel and voice and your spray and your victory poses. There's no equipment or gear that you have to design and apply to your character. What you get is what you get when you load into the game and you play the character for the first time. And the loot boxes are what you gain when you level. You can also, of course, buy the loot boxes. So you can go and buy them. So let's see, 50 loot boxes is £30. That's about what, $50 something maybe. So you can buy them and unlock them if you like. But that's it. So that's Overwatch. Very simplistic. I'll be doing some more character specific videos again. They again will be very short because the characters are fairly simplistic in their operation and playstyle. That's it from me. I know I'm probably a little bit rusty because I've been out of it for quite some time, but I hope this has been worthwhile, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.